Hello everyone. Before we begin the stories, I'd just like to say this. For those who may not have heard, Tinder is a dating app for your phone. As such, being dating-related stories, there will be adult themes and situations contained within. If you're of a sensitive nature and this sort of thing would upset you, you may wish to skip this video. I will completely understand if you choose to do so. Also, if you're one of my younger viewers, consider that your parents may not want you watching such a thing. But that's not really up to me, I'm not your father. So, without further ado, I give you 3 Tinder dates from hell. So I'm traveling around Asia, and as a white Englishman, absolutely raking in the matches with the Asian chicks. In southern China and Hong Kong alone, I got over 200 matches in a week. Back in the UK, it took me over 9 months to get 200. I get to Thailand, and although the success isn't quite Hong Kong levels, I'm getting a few matches every time I open the app. I should note here that at this point I'm traveling with 4 other people, 2 sets of couples, so I am the 5th wheel. While my companions are fucking one night, I decide to go through my recent matches and start trying my luck. Anything from degrading pickup lines to polite and courteous, to just being blunt about wanting a fuck. It's 2 a.m. in Bangkok. I drop this attractive Thai girl, who has a bio written in impeccable English, a simple message. Hey, you're cute. We should date sometime. I didn't expect anything back, but she responded, come over now? Movies and Oreos? Fucking A. I ask if she lives alone. This chick is 19, so unlikely. She said that she was still in with her parents, but they were asleep, and I could sneak in. I asked how her parents would have reacted if they caught me at her place in the middle of the night. She said her dad would go nuts. I then invited her over to my hostel. I'd pay for a private room, but she refused and said she couldn't leave her place. So I compromised. We arranged to meet at her place at 10 a.m. the next day, after her parents had gone to work. I slept on it, still decided it was a good idea, and got her to send me her address in Thai. I forwarded the address onto one of the girls I was traveling with, saying, I've gone on a Tinder date at this address. If I'm not back by 7 p.m., you need to get help. I leave the hostel, hail a cab, show the dude the address in Thai. He looks at me as if I'm crazy, but we set off on the 25-minute journey across BKK. After getting briefly lost, and after me nearly losing my nerve and telling him to go back to the hostel, we'd pull up to this fucking mansion. I mean, this place looked like something out of 90210. It took up the whole block. I pay the dude some extortionate amount of baht, then hesitantly get out of the taxi. I'm so far from tourist Bangkok out, it's reasonably unsettling. Then suddenly this girl starts waving her arms from behind an electric gate. I walk up to her assuming she's my Tinderella, nervously introducing myself. She gestures at me to shut up, opens the gate slightly, and then literally pushes me inside the condo. I didn't even have time to think how ridiculous it was. She whispers at me urgently, again in incredibly good English, to get upstairs, take the 3rd room on the left, and lock myself in. When I ask why, she says it's because her housemates are currently doing the cleaning, and I can't be spotted. After emphasizing, it's the room on the left, not the right. That's where Grandma lives. I run upstairs, questioning what the fuck I'm doing. The room is huge and decorated with a ton of expensive shit that even a Western brat couldn't dream of having. MacBooks, plasma TV, an unholy amount of concert tickets. She had a giant ensuite too. She comes up eventually and tells me to get into bed. I remain clothed, not wanting to jump to any conclusions. We end up beginning to watch The Theory of Everything, but she struggles to follow the British slang. So halfway through, we switch to some shitty film about Sylvester Stallone breaking out of prisons for a living. As the film progresses, I try to make some conversation. I tell her about my travel plans, and all the countries I've been to. She tells me she's at university in a nearby city, and is actually going back there once her rendezvous is over. The subject turns to family. I'm completely perturbed by this affluent Thai. I asked her what her parents do. Her mum was a bank manager, and her father owned his own business. What kind of business? She wouldn't tell me. At this point my head is spinning, thinking I'm in bed with the Thai Tony Soprano's daughter. I nag at her for a good half hour about it. And she's beginning to crack, though she warns me I'll judge her for it. After I promise I won't freak out. She tells me he's an arms dealer. Fuck. Legal or illegal? I don't know. Well, it explained the house at least. By this point she stuck her hands down my boxers, and I'm pretty hot and ready. She pauses the film. I have no idea why, neither of us were following it, and got down to business. Started with some awkward foreplay, and I quickly discovered she was extremely tight. I'm not small, but also not huge, and I'd slept with other Asian girls who were nowhere near this tight. I was actually struggling to get it in, and she didn't seem to know how or when to make the situation easier. I eventually took charge, bent her over, and started doing her doggy. Going at it for a good few minutes, she decides to pipe up and tell me to go a little easier because it's her first time. Jesus fucking Christ. I can't do it once I've heard that. I, a grimy backpacker from the UK, am shagging a Thai arms dealer's virgin daughter in his own house. It was surreal. She ended up finishing me off, giving me head. I washed myself in the ensuite. She insisted on exchanging Facebook profiles. And she snuck me out, and that was it. My friends couldn't believe it until I showed them the Tinder conversation and her Facebook profile, which shows she lives an extravagant life for a Thai. The realization of what I had actually done didn't hit me until I got back to my hostel and slept on it for a few hours. My friends were not only nervous for my well-being, but also their own. Later that day, we hastily arranged a visa to Myanmar and got the fuck out of Kok. While in Myanmar, I actually fell in love with a fellow backpacker, and we ended up spending the next 2 months together. So I guess it worked out in the end. But yeah, not many people can say they met and took the virginity of an arms dealer's daughter on Tinder. Get a mutual like. Fairly pretty girl. Some of her teeth are crooked, but I'm not judging. We talk a little bit, exchange phone numbers, and talk a little more. I've just moved out of state. I haven't made any friends, and I'm missing my once-a-week trip to the local bar for beer and wings. Not to mention getting properly tipsy or drunk once a month or so. So, we decide to hang out and have a few drinks at her house. No biggie. I've done this before with other people without a problem. I get to set home, and she started without me. She's double fisting. Vodka in one hand, Coke in the other to chase it down. We talk a moment, then she says she wants to go outside so she can smoke. No worries. I prefer that so the house doesn't reek of cigarettes. She proceeds to chain a few cigs, then we go back inside. All the while, she is consuming vodka, and I'm refilling for her while we chat. She continues to drink, and wants to go outside every 20 minutes or so to smoke a cigarette or 3. Just when she's starting to get really drunk, her son wakes up. I didn't even know she had kids. He is autistic, and she asked me to tell him to go back to bed so she can finish her cigarette. I go in and have a chat with him. He's had a bad dream. Mom comes in and puts on a Scooby-Doo movie that he likes a lot. At this point, she is stumbling and slurring most of her words. She has started talking about this guy she's really pissed at because he wasn't interested in pursuing anything beyond friends with benefits. Throughout the whole night, she boasted about being a plus-sized model and the success of her career and how terrible people are about telling her she needs to lose weight. She is adamant that they should all go to hell, and she is absolutely stunning and can have any man in the world she chooses. I've gotten extremely uncomfortable at this point, and would like to leave. But she is so fucked up, I would feel responsible leaving the child, and don't think of simple solutions like calling family services in the moment. I watch Scooby-Doo with Junior. while Mom continues to ramble on about her fucked up life and everyone should love her and be attracted to her, repeatedly asking why people are so rude to her and why no one listens to her. She insists that I listen more than anyone she's met because I'm an Aquarius. No one else will listen to an Aries. She smoked a whole pack of cigarettes by this point, and is complaining that she does not have any more. She then proceeds to shuffle through multiple CDs, tossing the ones that are too scratched to play onto the floor, and cussing out her TV for not playing them. She breaks too while trying to get them to work. Eventually, she starts to sober up, and is asking me to go buy her more cigarettes. I explain that I don't have any money, an honest response at the time, and tell her that I am sorry, and that I will have to leave. I just wanted to make sure she was sober enough to take care of her kid. She asks me to take a gift card and go to a local grocery store to purchase cigarettes, and I let her know, after quickly checking my phone, that they will not be open for another 2 hours, and I have to leave to get some rest before I go to work. The next morning she messages me on Facebook and asks how bad things were. I explain, kindly, but let her know that things did get a little out of hand. She says, "OMFG, I suck balls, so many balls." She then proceeds to block me on Facebook. That is the last I ever heard of the only model I ever met in person. Met a guy on Tinder after ending a 6-year relationship. He was in his last year of PT school and seemed to have his shit together, and was really cool. I made it extremely clear that I was in no hurry to rush into a relationship, that I wanted to get to know him better. We ended up dating a few months later, after he constantly begged me to date him. Everything was great. I was actually really happy with him. Was actually going to take him home for Christmas. We had been together about 6 months. Last Monday I got a Facebook message from a random girl, screenshots included. Boyfriend had made plans to go out with her on Tuesday. She had found his Facebook, which had very clearly said we were in a relationship. Bless this little Tinder angel's heart for messaging me. Confront boyfriend, go through phone, not like me, find extremely graphic sexual text between him and at least 2 other girls besides Tinder girl. Boyfriend says he was so insecure and worried that I didn't want to be with him, that he wanted this false security. Broke up with him. Got drinks with Tinder girl. We're friends now. Edit. Didn't think people would see this, so I wrote something quickly. I should add that he was all about me opening up about myself. He also lived in his parents' basement, told every girl on Tinder he was a doctor, and opened up by asking, "What hurts?" and if they wanted a massage. I think the best part was that he was talking to one girl about music, and she said she liked Motion City soundtrack, and he was like, "Oh, I just saw them a few weeks ago." I bought his tickets and took him. He was missing some minor details. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for watching my Tinder Dates from Hell special. Yes, I've finally jumped on the special feature bandwagon. We'll see how it goes. I'm considering looking into OkCupid stories, that might be worth doing. Used to have a profile there myself, actually. Wonder if I still do. Can't recall if I deleted it or not. Anyway, not really important, I suppose. If these videos do well, I'll certainly keep doing more of them. Although the stories for them are a lot harder to source, and it does mean there is a risk of repeating stories that have been used by other narrators. Which does happen anyway, but when you're pulling from a much smaller story base, when you're getting that specific with your themes, then it's kind of unavoidable. Okay, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.